For the last 5 seasons, Valterri Bottas has done the unenviable job of being Lewis Hamilton's teammate. This is in no way because of Hamilton as a person. It is just difficult to have your closest rival be possibly the greatest Formula One driver of all time. Bottas moves on this year, partnering Guan Yu Zhu for Alfa Romeo. In a recent interview, Bottas detailed his time with Mercedes. Valtteri finishes his time with the Silver Arrows with 10 wins and 58 podiums. Bottas has been a consistent performer for Mercedes, helping them to 5 straight constructors' titles in the 5 seasons that Bottas spent with the team. Valtteri consistently put the team first, being a massive contributor to Lewis Hamilton's 4 title wins in his time with Mercedes. But it seems like this is the right time for Bottas and Mercedes to move on. Valtteri is coming off the back his worst season with Mercedes. Max Verstappen's step forward this season meant that Bottas was comfortably in third for most of the season. With only 1 win, Bottas did not really perform to the level of the car this morning, which was the fastest on the grid for large parts of the season. It seems like the perfect time for both to move on, especially as Mercedes have been lining up George Russell for Bottas' seat since Russell stepped into the Williams in 2019. Russell outdrove Bottas when he stepped into Hamilton's seat in 2020 at the Sakir Grand Prix. From that point onwards, it seemed as though the former Williams driver was bound to be out of Mercedes pretty soon. Now that Bottas has moved on, he's spoken about his time with Mercedes, as well as the man he replaced in 2017, Nico Rosberg. Rosberg was the German manufacturer's choice when they returned to Formula One in 2010. Nico led the team for the first couple of years, as Michael Schumacher could not replicate his Ferrari performances with Mercedes. But Rosberg was joined by Lewis Hamilton in 2013. The two had a great relationship through junior karting, but they created an intense rivalry from 2014 to 2016 as the two battled it out over world titles. Lewis had the upper hand in 2014 and 2015, but 2016 produced a brilliant title fight that included the two Mercedes drivers colliding in Spain. Rosberg edged out Hamilton in the title decider in Abu Dhabi, winning his first title. But what surprised F1 fans is that it turned out to be Rosberg's first and only title in Formula One, because he retired only 5 days after winning it all in Abu Dhabi. It was a pretty stunning decision by Rosberg. He had just won his first ever world title, looking set to battle it out with Hamilton for at least 2 more seasons, having signed a 2-year contract extension midway through the 2016 season. Rosberg was only 30 years old when he decided to retire. It was a decision that confused F1 fans, but Nico later spoke about how straining it was on him physically and mentally to try to beat Lewis Hamilton. It is no surprise that to beat one of the most talented drivers of all time, it puts you through a lot of stress. Still, despite his comments, many people, including Valtteri Bottas, still worried how you could give up a seat in the fastest car on the grid after just winning it all. Especially considering we are still seeing Lewis Hamilton excel well past the age of 30. But a recent interview from Bottas has shed some light on just how difficult it is to be Lewis Hamilton's teammate. Bottas said that when I came to Mercedes, I wondered why Nico was quitting, but now I can identify with him. I can say from experience that it is not easy. It puts a bit more light on Rosberg's previous statements about how difficult it is to be driving for Mercedes. Now these comments are much more likely to be about how much pressure there is to perform when you are a driver for the fastest car on the grid. Expectations are always going to be pretty high when every driver on the grid says that they would be world champion if they were driving in your car. It can't have been an easy job for Bottas. Some fans have taken this as an indication that Lewis Hamilton is a difficult teammate. However, it is unlikely this is the case. Lewis Hamilton has never been best friends with any of his teammates. There was always a huge amount of tension between him and Fernando Alonso. But since then, Hamilton's relationships with teammates have been a lot more tamer. There may have been a hat-throwing incident between Hamilton and Rosberg, but the two were very friendly. Lewis has consistently talked about his admiration for Valtteri Bottas. In fact, last year, Hamilton called Bottas the best teammate he has ever had after the Finn's move to Alfa Romeo was confirmed. A pretty outlandish claim considering Hamilton has had some incredible teammates. Lewis has driven alongside two-time world champion Fernando Alonso, as well as former world champion Nico Rosberg and Jenson Button. I'm sure that what Hamilton meant by best teammate was that Bottas always did what he could so that Mercedes and Hamilton could win. Bottas was the most complete teammate that Lewis had ever had. It is why there was so much stress on Bottas. He was expected to perform to pretty much the same level of a 7-time world champion. When he did perform better than Hamilton, the team would often have him step aside for Lewis to win more titles. While Valtteri may not have ever been talented enough to win a title, he was an excellent teammate. He will surely make a big impact with the Alfa Romeo team. The comments from Bottas puts a lot more pressure on his replacement, George Russell. Bottas said in the interview that he understands why Nico quit the sport, so it is a lot of pressure being put on Russell, who is only 23 years old. The comments from Bottas is even more interesting when you consider Russell's role in Mercedes. George Russell has clearly been the future of Mercedes for a few years now, having been signed up to their drivers' academies since early 2017. He comes into the Mercedes team after an impressive 3 years with Williams, having gotten the best out of a back-of-the-grid car. So will Russell want to be number 2 when he steps into the Mercedes? Russell will know he is the future of the Mercedes team, so it is unlikely he will be happy with the second driver role. Russell certainly won't be as happy to help the team as Bottas was. The immense pressure that Bottas talks about is something to watch as George Russell heads into his first season with Mercedes. But the question is, will Bottas ever see the podium steps again? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Bye-bye.